Oh my god, let's try something.
Okay, see what happened on TV last night?
I always watch.
Oh my god.
It's so fun. It was so
Yeah,
good.
I watched that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi guys, I'm Stevie.
And I'm Talena,
and this is Twin Talk. So was it the most dramatic season?
See, I don't know if it was the most dramatic because they built it up so much. I mean, they had all these Bachelor alumni fucking going for it. I mean, they were hyping this season up. And to me, when I watched it, even though it was dramatic, even though that had never happened before, etc.,
No.
it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't exciting, but it wasn't dramatic to me because I was expecting something dramatic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
They hyped it up way too much.
And that's the problem. Is it was dramatic, but it's like when you tell a friend, you have to see this movie. You have to see this movie. This movie is so amazing. You have to see it. You have to see it. And then you see it and you're like, oh yeah, it's really good, but it's never going to live up to the expectations because you talked about it so much.
You have ideas of grandeur, and it sucks.
And they've been hyping this season up since day one, and we already knew that Gabby and Rachel, at least in some aspect, were going to be at the end. Now, we had no idea about Susie. I didn't know about Susie.
I did not know
until, maybe 3 episodes ago where I was like, okay, like Susie, out of all these people, is probably going to be at the end game.
Right.
And, to be honest, I didn't know how it was going to end, if there was going to be a proposal, X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, we knew who the final two were since day one. It's been the most dramatic season yet since day one. And then it sort of was just like, oh, and then especially, I think we're going to jump around this episode because there was a lot happening.
2 episodes, and there was a lot that happened, but also nothing happened.
Well, it was just really when, at the end, when it seems like Clayton is left alone and everybody leaves and he doesn't get engaged and he's broken up with all the women, and then it's like, but is Clayton, single still?
Well, because what's his face, Jessie Palmer, had this whole entire bit, which I'm sorry, for a while there we were kind of like, oh, he's doing okay as Chris Harrison. But I don't know, he's changed the vibe now that I think about it. He's had all these weird, first of all, he can't read a teleprompter. He stumbles over his word during the teleprompter. Yeah. He recovers it in a decent way, but he still isn't great at the teleprompter.
Yeah.
And then he also was he stared at the camera and he was like, or did they?
It was just weird. At first I thought that they had forgotten to take the cameras off of him.
Right.
And it was supposed to go to commercial break. And then he was like, or did they? And there was this big other dramatic moment. And then they showed, the heels of somebody walking. And it's just, fucking weird. And then Susie comes out. And you're just like, oh, Susie, babe. You really did this to yourself? That's embarrassing for you, Susie. I don't have that much respect for Susie anymore because she's back with Clayton. Because if somebody treated me like the way Clayton did, I just don't know if I could ever get past that. And good for Susie if she can get past that. And I'm not saying that people don't make mistakes, or people don't get caught up in the heat of the moment, or X, Y, and Z. And there is a lot that we don't see, and a lot that's cut. And, did I think that they had the best chemistry? No, I don't think they had any chemistry on camera. And I didn't even think they had any chemistry yesterday when they were sitting together.
I thought they seemed awkward.
Yeah, personally. So, I'm sure it won't last. And if it does, good for you. But a little bit of respect has been lost for Susie because just why?
Especially to see the way she's watching it back, just like all of us are watching it. So for her to see the way he treated these other women, and it's so hard. It's so hard because it's I want to be there for forgiveness. Yeah. I also know that a lot of this is planted and a lot of this is the way producers made him. And I do not think that Clayton is a villain. I don't think Clayton is a bad guy. I think he is a dumb guy. And I have said this, I think, from the beginning. Yeah. I think he was just easily a puppet.
He was easily manipulated.
Their scheme. He's easily manipulated. And I do feel bad for him in the sense that I think that he thought this was going to be a grandeur. I think he thought basically kind of the same thing Matt James thought. Oh, this will be fun. I can meet the love of my life. This will just be another journey, another adventure for me to go on. Yeah. But instead, it became a thing. Just like for Matt James, he got caught up in this racist scandal. Now for Clayton, he got caught up in this
love triangle,
sex scandal, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I think they both kind of went into it being like, oh, this is a piece of cake. Like, you know, they chose me because they love me, but really...
They chose you because they could manipulate
you. Which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Which makes you question, you know, that to me, if I was in Clayton's shoes, every single encounter I ever had for the rest of my life, I would be like... Are they using me for something? Are they manipulating me for something? Like, it would really hurt me.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely psychological damage, for sure.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, even before his season started, people were goading him. You know, Caitlin Bristow did that, like, awful fucking, what is it called, roasting session with
Which
him.
was not cute.
It was just cringy. So, you know, I am a little upset with The Bachelor in the sense of the amount of cringe they're bringing. Now, I'm all for, like, a little cringe. That's sort of like, I can't believe they did that. But, like, there's been some cringe moments.
Well, and I'm all for just a little bit of drama. Like, you know, whatever. But we have been saying, you and I have been saying since the beginning, it's like, if you get interesting enough people...
Mm-hmm. If you get the Gabbys of the world, these people who are interesting and funny, but are smart and have something to say and are well-spoken... They're gonna, you know, create the
show's
drama.
Gonna be good.
The show's gonna be good. You don't have to have plans. You don't have to cast actual bullies. I know there always has to be a villain. There always has to be the tough person or the bad guy. But lately they've been casting actual shitty people. And it's not cute.
Yo, when they were talking about Clayton, because they were talking about a mystery woman, and I honestly was not expecting Susie to walk out after she had rejected him. Like, I thought that was done and over with. And then when he was like, yeah, but then I met a girl and blah, 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 I was like, fuck, who are you talking about? I was like, because he obviously showed his ass. Sorry, hiccups for this whole entire season. For a second, I thought it was Shanae. For a second, I was like, oh, fuck. This dude fucking picked up Shanae and was like, Shanae, I guess we gotta give it a try. And Shanae was gonna walk out. And I was like, ooh, if that happened, like, I would be like, wow, this is the most dramatic season. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm glad it didn't happen because since it didn't happen, I do still have sympathy for Clayton. If he would have brought back Shanae, I would have been like, oh, no, piece of shit.
Yeah.
But when it was Susie, I was like, ugh.
I just feel like they obviously cannot communicate from what we've seen.
Yeah.
They can't communicate in a good way. I mean, Gabby, it's very obvious that Gabby and Clayton are not meant for each other because they could not communicate. Not that they couldn't communicate, they just could not see their points of view.
And that's what Stevie and I were talking about last night is we were like, Gabby's not wrong and Clayton's not wrong, but together they're wrong, man.
Yeah.
They're just wrong. Like, do I think Gabby handled it a lot better than Clayton did? Yeah, 100 fucking percent. Like, I understood Gabby. Gabby's articulate. Gabby, you know, has to say where Clayton kind of, you know, cliched the whole thing. And he's a man of words, but it's very cliche words. And he wasn't very... It's hard to trust what he says because it does seem shallow on a level. Even though what he says, I believe what he's saying. Like when he's like, I was just trying to do my best. I believe you, Clayton.
I believe that was your best.
I believe that was your best, but that's sad that was your best.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so where Gabby is just, you know, deeper and yeah, she's funny, but she articulated
and she
her
has a sense of worth. He was like, can I walk you on? She said, no.
And I was like,
yes. It was awesome. Girl. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Is usually there's a date before you meet the parents. And neither Gabby, and Susie had already left. Susie had already said, I'm done with you, whatever, goodbye.
Right.
So then, you know, Gabby and Rachel decide to stay, and that was drama. Gabby wanted to leave. Gabby was like, I don't want to be here. And then Clayton convinced her to stay. I don't know how much of she stayed for Clayton or if she stayed for Rachel, because you could see on Rachel's face, Rachel was like, I don't want to be the last one standing because everybody left. I want to be the last one standing because
you chose me.
You chose me. And how will I ever know that if I'm the last one standing? You could see it on Rachel's face. So, you know, and you could see on Rachel's face that she was happy that Gabby came back. So we'll never know, unless, I guess, they talk about it, if Gabby came back more for Rachel, or if Gabby did come back because she was like, okay, maybe I do have a chance. Maybe I still do want to be with Clayton. I don't really know. I didn't think Clayton's argument was that good. Maybe the producers forced her to stay. Only the good Lord upstairs knows.
Seriously.
And the producers. But at the end of the day, Gabby came back, and then they went to go visit the families, but they didn't have dates beforehand.
Right.
And to me, that's just weird. Why are you giving up that time?
Yeah.
You should never give up the time. You should want to spend as much time. Unless Clayton, for some reason, even though I saw no chemistry with him and Susie literally at all, really did want Susie to be the one. But then at that point, what was the point of keeping Gabby and Rachel around?
Yeah.
Just what was the point?
Well,
to have sex with them, like Rachel said?
Yeah.
Probably.
Or like Gabby said, Gabby was like, you're dumping me on your terms. And that's what she said. And bitch was right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good for Gabby. Like, when Gabby spoke, I was like, damn, I wish I could articulate myself like Gabby. Because, you know, Gabby comes off as this goofy, fun, you know, carefree person.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it,
she tells you like it is.
Gabby tells you like it is, and
Yeah.
she knows her fucking self-worth, and she fucking told Clayton. She was like, excuse me, you're dumping me now because it's on your terms.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to leave, and you begged me to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So shame on me.
Yeah. She basically was like, it's not fair because when you didn't want to have your pride hurt. You didn't want to say that you were the dumpy, you know,
Right.
and not the dumper. So that's fucked up, and Clayton really showed his true colors. And here's my thing is, I really feel like we can tell that this is Clayton because besides producer push, besides anything, at this point it's happened multiple times. He told them in front of each other, Gabby and Rachel, that he was in love with Susie, that he was intimate with both of them.
Right.
So he didn't have those conversations privately.
Mm-hmm.
He broke up with them because he wanted to pursue Susie. Once again, he didn't even give them the courtesy of doing it separately or having a conversation with them. He did it and then the way he broke up with Susie, and then the way he talked to Rachel and he talked to Gabby, and he didn't even like show any emotion, even though he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And I'm like, I haven't seen Clayton have literally any emotions this entire time.
And what's so crazy to me too is that he was sobbing during Michelle's season when he got cut. You remember,
yeah.
He was sobbing, and he's like, I just want to get married, I just want to have kids, I just want to have a life.
Yeah.
And he's sobbing, and so I was like, oh, maybe he has emotion. This whole season, he was just...
Yeah, he was like stone cold, so...
Stone cold. Every time he talked to these women, he was like, well, that's just how I feel. Like, it's hard because I don't want to feel bad for Clayton, but I do feel bad for Clayton because does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, he's the villain, but he's not a villain.
Yeah, he's dumb.
Since I've said from this beginning, he's just dumb. And I know that's mean, and I know that's hard to say. I don't want anybody calling me dumb, but he's a dumb guy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like,
Yeah.
He has no emotional depth. He has...
No social cues.
No social cues at
Or
all.
emotional intelligence, it feels
Emotional intelligence. Well, and that's what Gabby said, too.
Mhm.
Well, because, spoiler, fucking Gabby and Rachel are the Bachelor. I have no idea... Bachelorette. I have no idea how this is going to work. I'm kind of excited about it. I guess the Bachelorette New Zealand
Okay.
has already done this.
I guess there's a show out. I was reading Instagram comments, and there's a show called Joe Millionaire.
You know what, Stevie?
What?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I actually, cause, I was at work today being like, The Bachelor, blah, blah, blah. And multiple people were like, so it's like Joe Millionaire? And I was like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what Joe Millionaire is, but I've heard a lot of people compare it. So it must obviously be a format that has been done before, so
Right.
it can be done again.
They're gonna kind of copy
My
it.
thing is like...
It changes the show.
Well, it changes the show, and it's also... Gabby's this whole time been like, I'm not in a competition, and they've obviously, Rachel and Gabby have obviously established a really great friendship. So are they pitting them against each other now, which is literally exactly what Gabby doesn't want, and I'm sure Rachel doesn't want either. And what we don't want that. Now, if you're gonna do like 15 different sets of men or something, and then they both go at the same time, I don't know, it's a little fucking besides the point. Why don't you just give them their own show? But what I think is gonna happen is there's just gonna be 30 men, and those 30 men can like sort of hang out with Gabby, hang out with Rachel, decide who they like better. But what if they both like the same person? Now, our friend Natalie did say like, well, they were both after Clayton, so you know, they have the same taste in guys. But to be fair, I don't really feel like Gabby liked Clayton.
Yeah. I believe Rachel was in love with Clayton.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I believe that Gabby maybe thinks she was in love with Clayton, even though, you know, Gabby always seemed like top 3, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, she makes it and she'll be part of
Well, she was the Justin or the Rodney. Like, she was the character.
She was the character. That's like,
who's
okay.
Lovable, everybody loves her. She's funny, she's quirky. There's something
like,
about her.
Rachel? Oh my gosh.
She was wifey material.
Really thought, like, Rachel and Clayton were going to be together.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking thought that.
I did too.
So
they're the only couple that had chemistry.
Right.
The only couple from day one. He didn't have chemistry with Teddy. He didn't have chemistry with Serene. Still don't feel like he has chemistry with Susie, but whatever. I guess maybe they do. He never had chemistry with Gabby. Mm-mm. He only ever had chemistry with Rachel. So
I agree.
I really can't comprehend what is missing between them and the screen that, you know, they're not feeling, because it's very, very obvious. Even her dad said.
Yeah.
Even her dad said, well, they're both nice girls, but
there's a clear, obvious answer.
There's a clear, obvious answer of like who you should be with.
Right.
AKA Rachel. And he was like, well, I don't know, I just really love Susie. And his parents are like, we raised a dumbass son.
I fucking love.
No. Bad kitty.
Bad kitty. I fucking loved fucking Clayton's dad. He was like,
the parents this season were good.
Clayton's dad was literally like, son, you're being a dumbass. I mean, he didn't say it in that many words, but
he said,
me,
screwed the pooch on that one.
He fucking told us that his son was a dumbass.
Yeah.
And I was deceased when Rachel's parents were in the audience and they're like, what did they say? They're like, we don't want to go to prison, or like,
yeah,
something.
They were like, my wife said not to say anything. If I'm not going to say anything nice, and I have nothing nice to say.
And then she was like, I don't agree with that. I have nothing but mean things to say. I'm not gonna say them. They were savage. But like, in the right way. Like,
oh yeah, for
her parents, yeah, like Rachel's parents were pissed. I will say, okay, so like we said, spoiler alert. Gabby and Rachel are the next Bachelorette. I don't know how it's going to work. I will say that I think Rachel was taken aback by that. I'm a little scared that Rachel's going to live in Gabby's shadow.
Oh, yeah. I think so too.
And so I really don't know how the season is going to work, because I don't know if Rachel, I hate to say this, but like, I don't know if Rachel is strong enough to be her own solo character. I think if maybe she was by herself, she would be fine. But I think with Gabby, she's a little like I just felt like every time they were talking, she was looking at Gabby for her approval.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or like, are you going to say something first? Or should I say something where Gabby
But
just
at the end of the day, too, like, they're shell-shocked. Like, they did not know. Like, I'm pretty sure there was probably, like, because they were showing Serene, they were showing fucking Shanae. Okay. They were showing Rachel. They were showing Gabby. And they were, like, dropping hints that any of these people could be the next Bachelorette. And then fucking Jessie Palmer was like, we know your Bachelor is not Gabby. And your Bachelor is not Rachel. And then he paused for, like, a very awkward 30 seconds. And then somebody in the audience was like, it's both of them. And then he was like, it's Gabby and Rachel, and they fucking freaked out. Like, they did not know this.
You could just tell they did not know it was
this was the first time they were hearing about this.
Yeah. So it was wild. I mean, it was dramatic. The entire season was dramatic. It was just way too built up. It was way too built up.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like all these old alumni are like, you have to watch blah blah blah. It's like, it wasn't dramatic to me because I was expecting something. Like, I wish, and I know they have to do it for promos and they have to do it for X, Y, and Z, but I don't know. It was just a little too built up for me. Like, I would have been more surprised if it wasn't so built up. But any publicity is good publicity, I guess, in the eyes of Bachelor.
I mean, the memes are gold.
I mean, this season came out with great fucking memes. But at the end of the day, at whose expense? Like, it is hard because I don't want to be a bitch. And, like, I do want to have grace for Clayton, even though he's a dumb boy.
Well, you know, this is the way it rumbles, is that, you know, when you sign up to not only be on Bachelor, but be a brand on Instagram, you are going to get negative attention. You're also going to get positive attention. I mean, there's plenty of people out there who still like Clayton. I go through the Instagram things, and people root for Clayton, and a lot of people don't, but I think everybody pretty much agrees with the same sense of us, is like, he's dumb. He's not bad. He's not a villain. Like, I think Shanae is maybe legit evil.
Right.
Like, she's a psychopath. She has complete mental issues.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
And it just goes to show, when you sign up for stuff like this, you have to read the fine print. Like,
oh yeah.
You just read the fine print, because guess what? In the Bachelor fine print, I have fucking read it, because I read every single last word of it. And they literally say you have to sign a whole bunch of paperwork. And they literally say, we can portray you however we want. We can cut and paste your words. We can make you into no, bad cat. We can cut and paste your words. We can make you seem like you're saying X, Y, and Z. You have to give us permission to do this in order to be on the show. I can 100% tell you that is true. So if you don't read the fine print, that's your problem. And at the end of the day, these people are almost 30 years old. They're 25, 20s. Yep. You're not a 19-year-old signing up with, you know, no idea what's fucking happening in the world. You know what I mean? Like, you're old enough to read a legal document to know that these fucking producers can put you and cast you in any light that they want to. It's not scripted, but they can script you, and they can cut and splice whatever you say to make you look like the villain. You sign up for this. Yep, it's true. So at the end of the day, it's like, yes, do I have grace? Yes, I do. But at the same time, you also knew what you were signing up for. It's true.
Yep. So, I mean, we don't have any Bachelor again until July 11th, I think.
We have 4 months off of Bachelor.
Yeah, which honestly, I think is a much needed break. It's been back-to-back Bachelor for a consistent year now, over a year. And as much as I love The Bachelor, and I know you guys do too, and The Bachelorette, and Bachelor in Paradise, and all the spin-offs, I mean, they're doing the courtship now, so that'll last for a couple of weeks. I'm ready for a little Bachelor break.
Is it by the same producers and stuff?
I think so. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. I mean, it's set up exactly like The Bachelor, except for it takes place in like the 1700s. So
I mean, I'm ready for a little break. Like, we, like Stevie said, we have had back to back, and it's been a lot of content. It's been a lot of drama. Excuse me.
I'm ready for some fresh faces. I'm ready to rejuvenate. I'm ready to, you know, just get that thrill back, you know. There might be a ride you love on a roller coaster, but if you take that ride over and over and over again, you're going to get fucking sick, you know. And I am ready for a little bit of break so I can get it. Not that I'm not excited. I mean, you know, we get excited on Mondays and the last couple of Tuesdays. Like, it's exciting. It's something we do together. Yeah, it's something we, you know, our twin talks with you guys. You know, we love our TV time and talking about our TV time. But I do think we need a break from Bachelor. Like, I think we all need a break from The Bachelor.
It's become so saturated that it doesn't have any meaning anymore. Like, it's just been drama. Like, we do need to kind of take a step back. I think this next season will be refreshing. I'm a little nervous because I don't think these producers even know what they're doing. I think they're just like, oh,
flying by the
fuck.
seat of their pants.
We're just going to see what happens. But they do start filming in a few days, so even though it doesn't
air, they're still in it.
They're still in it. So Exactly. So I am interested to see, but it will be nice to have a little break away from everything, because I feel like it has been constant drama, and it's like at the end of the day, and we've said this since day one, if you get interesting people, it will be an interesting show. You don't have to cast these problematic people or get these puppets or plans to have an interesting show. Like, you guys have these producers have gotten way ahead of themselves. Bachelor Nation is strong, no matter if it's bad or good. Let's give it a few months off. Let's reassess, and let's get back to the roots. Like, we thought Clayton was the roots because we're like, oh, he's a white Midwestern guy. He was not the roots. He was fucking the volcano of the fucking Bachelor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this exploded everything. He was not a good Bachelor. So let's take a few months off. Let's reassess. Let's come back with something fresh and maybe new, even though I'm a little nervous because at the end of the day, it does feel like it's a whole different spin-off show, which is fine, but then don't call it The Bachelorette. But
call it something else.
Call it something else. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that I read that New Zealand Bachelorette has already done this. I mean, New Zealand Bachelorette has already done the bisexual Bachelorette. I'm pretty sure, like, they've had women and men on a Bachelorette season, etc. You know, whatever. I think America's getting there. I'm not saying we need it. I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm just saying I don't care if we do it, but I think we do need a few months off of Bachelor to kind of reassess, bring it back, kind of figure out our roots before we go on, because nobody can sustain this amount of drama and just puppeteering.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too fucking much.
It's too much.
And then to build it up like they're building it up.
And then it is big and it is dramatic, and he did say some awful things, and he did obviously lie, but it doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter anymore. Like, it just doesn't matter because you've built it up so much. So we're gonna wait it out. We're gonna come back to you guys starting July 11th. We are so excited. Make sure that you follow us on Eggs and Bakey. Listen to us on Thursday morning. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Add us on Instagram. We would love to have you around. And we'll catch up on The Bachelor come July 11th.
Bye.
Twin talk.
Eggs and Bakey.